Welcome to episode 31 of OTD, your daily dose of soccer history by 17 Lost Guy. Before we head to Anfield in 1959, a quick pause. This episode marks 1 full month since episode 1 of OTD. If you've been listening, sending comments, spotting errors, and suggesting episodes, thank you. This pod only works because there's a global tribe of football history passionate out there who care about derbies, World Cup trivia, statistical quirks, and everything in between. So if you're enjoying this journey through the beautiful game's history, please share the show with friends who love football history. Subscribe so you get each new OTD in your feed every day. And tap in that 5-star review so the algorithm gods give this pod a chance to crawl up the charts. You can always find the full back catalog on the show page. A full month of history already there, and we're only just getting started. All right, on to today's story. It's December 1st, 1959 at Anfield Road. Liverpool Football Club, once champions of England, are stuck in Division 2. They've been down there since 1954, 5 full seasons of bus trips to places they never used to visit, watching other clubs hog the limelight. Crowds have thinned, the great Billy Little is aging, the cup can still roar, but mostly it groans. A few days earlier, Liverpool has been dumped out of the FA Cup by non-league Worcester City, and then embarrassed again in the league. Manager Phil Taylor resigned in mid-November, worn down by the weight of the job and the sense that he couldn't get Liverpool moving again. On this day, December 1st, Chairman T.V. Williams issues a short statement. Mr. Bill Shankly, manager of Huddersfield Town, was appointed manager of Liverpool Football Club in succession to Mr. Phil Taylor. In the newspapers, it's a simple managerial change at a faded big club. In reality, it's one of the hinge moments in the history of the global game. Over the next 15 years, Bill Shankly will drag Liverpool out of Division 2, win league titles, FA Cups, and a European trophy, and lay down a culture that Bob Paisley and others will turn into one of football's great dynasties. Bill Shankly is born in 1913 in Glenbuck, a tiny coal mining village with maybe 700 people and an absurd density of footballers. All 5 Shankly brothers become professionals. Young Willem, or Wooly at home, grows up in a world where work is the pit and escape is the game. He learns his trade in Scottish junior football, then signs for Carlisle United in 1932 and quickly moves on to Preston North End. At Deepdale, he becomes a hard-running right half, wins the Division 2, lifts the FA Cup in 1938 and earns caps for Scotland, including a famous 1-0 win at Wembley. Then comes war. Shankly loses what should have been peak years to the conflict, playing in wartime leagues, guesting for clubs, and building up a mental notebook about training, tactics, and team spirit. By the late 1940s, he's thinking like a manager. His early managerial journey is a tour of the lower league landscape. Carlisle United, 49 to 51. He learns how to run everything from training to matchday finances. Grimsby Town, 51 to 54. Flashes of success and frustrations with what he sees as small club thinking. Workington, 54-55, a tiny outpost, huge effort and modest reward. Then Huddersfield Town, 56 to 59, where he helps bring through a teenage Dennis Law. At each club, the pattern is similar. Shankly arrives with new ideas, energy and demands for better training, better facilities, more professionalism. And at each club, he feels the ceiling. Not enough money and not enough vision upstairs. By 59, he's 46 years old, managing a mid-table Division 2 Huddersfield, and starting to wonder if the big canvas he dreams of will ever come. Liverpool's arc to 1959 is the mirror image. They've been champions of England 5 times, most recently in 1947. They reached an FA Cup final in 1950. Anfield has the mighty Spion Cup terrace and a fan base that remembers glory. But the 1950s are a slog. Results flatten. The squad ages. The club is relegated in 1953-54 and can't get back up. By the time Shankly is appointed, Liverpool has spent 5 seasons in Division 2. Home defeats to smaller clubs, humiliations in the FA Cup, dwindling gates. The feeling is of a club that is too big for this, but also strangely stuck, not quite sure how to change. So when the board turned to Huddersfield manager in 1959, it's a club with a glorious past and a model present, hiring a man with a fierce philosophy and no big club platform. Their trajectories meet. Shankly accepts the job with an agreement to see out a few more weeks at Huddersfield before moving fully to Anfield. By mid-December, he is in the manager's office and at Millwood, taking stock. He doesn't like what he sees. Melwood is overgrown. Pitch is pitted and scarred. Shankly jokes that it looks like there have been bombs dropped on it. The training routines are basic. The squad, in his view, is far too big and no way no good enough. So he does three big things. First, he builds up brain trust. Shankly surrounds himself with a staff who will become legendary. Bob Paisley, Joe Fagan, Reuben Bennett, later joined by Ronnie Moran and others. They turn an old boot storage room under the main stand into a cramped little den where they talk tactics over tea, the boot room. From the 1960s to the 90s, that room will produce 4 future Liverpool managers and a set of shared ideas that sustain an era. Second, he clears the decks. Convinced Liverpool are overburdened with players who won't get them where they need to go, he famously puts 24 names on the transfer list. Within a year, all 24 are gone, including club icon Billy Little. It's brutal, but it signals that nothing and no one is bigger than the rebuild. And third, he sets the aim. Shankly later phrases his vision in one of his most famous lines. He wants to turn Liverpool into a bastion of invincibility, to build Liverpool up and up until eventually everyone would have to submit and give in. From a Division 2 base, that sounds borderline delusional. Within a few years, however, it manifests itself. The transformation takes time, but it follows a clear rhythm. Shankly believes a great side is built through the middle: goalkeeper, centre half, centre forward. Early on, he wants Dennis Law back from Huddersfield, but the fee is impossible. Instead, he and his staff find other pillars. They upgrade training and fitness. Players later say Liverpool under Shankly were the fittest team in England. He signs Sammy Reid and others as he tweaks and tests what he has. The big leap comes in 1961. Liverpool signs Ron Yeats from Dundee United to be the giant at centre half, and Ian St John from Motherwell to be the spark up front. Shankly calls it the very beginning of Liverpool's rise. In 1961-62, the pieces click. Liverpool win the Division 2 title and return to the top flight after 8 seasons in exile. Promotion coincides with something else. Liverpool, the city, is exploding into global consciousness via 4 lads with guitars. Beatlemania, Mercy Beat, TV cameras on the docks, and in the middle of it, Shankly's emerging team at Anfield. Anfield becomes one of the great stages of 1960s Britain. 1964, Liverpool win the Division 1 for the first time since 1947. 1965, they lift the FA Cup for the first time in the club's history, beating Leeds United at Wembley. Around this time, Shankly leads into the city soundscape. Jerry and the Pacemaker's version of You'll Never Walk Alone tops the charts in 1963. Copies start singing it. Shankly loves it. According to teammates, Jerry Marston plays the manager a pre-release copy on the team coach, and Shankly is in awe. The song becomes woven into the club's identity and eventually even its crest. Shankly also plays with imagery. In November 1964, Liverpool run out in all red for the first time. Shirts, shorts, stocks. Shankly believes red looks like power and danger. He throws red shorts to Ron Yeats and tells him he looks 7 feet tall. The players feel like giants. In the same years, the Cup songbook starts to include Beatles tunes and pop hits. This It's Anfield sign goes up in the tunnel to remind players who they play for and to intimidate opponents. Liverpool and the Beatles together make the city, in Allen Ginsberg's phrase, the center of consciousness of the human universe. Domestic success catches the mood of a changing society. Post-war austerity fading, youth culture rising, television bringing football into living rooms, and, in 1966, England hosting and winning the World Cup, with Liverpool's players and fans right in the middle of it all. By the late 1960s, Shankly's first great side is aging. A shock FA Cup defeat at Watford in 1970 convinces him it's time to be ruthless again. He moves on legends like St. John, Hunt, Yeats and Tommy Lawrence, and brings in a new core: Ray Clemens, Larry Lloyd, Alec Lindsay, Steve Highway, John Toshack, and a hyper-energetic forward from Scunthorpe called Kevin Keegan. Out of that rebuild comes another peak. 1973, Liverpool win the league title again and add the UEFA Cup, the first European trophy, beating Borussia Mönchengladbach over 2 legs. Shankly's second grade team plays the kind of intense collective football that feels very modern: pressing, fitness, fast wide players, emotional connection with the cup. Along the way, Shankly piles up honours: 3 First Division titles, 1 Second Division title, 2 FA Cups, 1 UEFA Cup, and multiple charity shields. His famous motto, "If you're first, you're first. If you're second, you're nothing," is extreme but it captures how he rewires Liverpool's expectations. If you only look at the trophy list, you'll miss part of Shankly's influence. A huge chunk of his legacy is cultural, the Liverpool way. 3 elements stand out. The converted boot store under the main stand becomes the unofficial control room of the club. Shankly, Paisley, Fagan, Moran, and others sit around, drink tea, argue, and plan. From the 1960s through the early 90s, 4 Liverpool managers come out of this small room, creating a rare continuity of ideas and people. Shankly often describes his football beliefs in explicitly socialist terms. The team is the collective. Everyone works. Everyone shares the rewards. That ethic, no stars above the group, everyone running for each other, becomes the kind of civic identity for Liverpool fans. And Shankly treats supporters as partners, not customers. He says the people on the cup are my people and behaves accordingly. Open training, emotional speeches, a sense that the crowd and team are one unit. Later writers argue that he helps turn English spectators from passive watchers into something more like a singing, self-conscious culture. Stitched together with You'll Never Walk Alone, the all-red kit, and an iconic stadium, that culture becomes one of Liverpool's biggest exports. It's part of why the club's influence spreads far beyond its trophy count. In May 1974, Shankly wins his second FA Cup, demolishing Newcastle United 3-0 at Wembley. The following July, Liverpool's chairman, John Smith, calls a press conference. Reporters expect transfer news. Instead, Smith announces that Shankly has told the club he wants to retire from active participation in league football. The room is stunned. Why did he go? Shankly himself talks about tiredness, about wanting time with his wife Nessie and their grandchildren, about football having taken its toll. Family members later confirmed that the pressure was immense and he was simply worn out. He leaves at 60. Bob Paisley, his longtime assistant, reluctantly steps up. The break is not clean. Shankly initially keeps turning up at Millwood, still desperate to be close to the players, until the club, worried about undermining Paisley, asks him to stop. It's an awkward, painful period for everyone involved. And yet, if you zoom out, the succession works in pure football terms. Paisley, drawing on the same boot room culture, leads Liverpool to 3 European Cups and 6 league titles in 9 seasons. Joe Fagan and Kenny Dalglish continue the line. In the decade after Shankly's departure, Liverpool become what he had envisaged, a genuine bastion of invincibility in Europe. When Bill Shankly passes in September 1981, the entire city mourns like it has lost a family member. If you strip the story back to its bones, December 1st, 1959 is just a second division club hiring a second division manager. But look at the ripples. Liverpool go from 8 years stuck in Division 2 to decades at the summit of English and European football. The boot room model, continuity, internal promotion, shared ideas become a reference point for clubs everywhere. You'll never walk alone. The cup culture, the all-red kit, this is Anfield, Shankly's one-liners, all become part of global football language. His ideas that a club is a community project about supporters, city, and a collective effort, not just results, prefigures modern conversations about identity in sport. And at the core of it is a minor son from a tiny Scottish village who believed with total sincerity that football was not a matter of life and death, and that it is much, much more important than that. That's all for episode 31 of OTD. The day Bill Shankly walked into Anfield, looked at a tired second division club, and started building a bastion of invincibility. If you got memories, sources, or Shankly stories from the cup, then email us at otd@17lawsguide.com. Subscribe and leave a 5-star review so even more Reds and neutrals can find us. Tomorrow, in episode 32, we head to Germany in 1967 and a wild Bundesliga scoreline, Nuremberg 7, Bayern München 3. How did a result like that become a turning point in the long-term fortunes of both clubs? And what does it tell us about momentum, mismanagement, and the fine line between empire and collapse? Don't miss it.